Joining us now to discuss it all, Democratic Congressman Lloyd Doggett of Texas. He's a member of the Ways and Means Committee, Budget Committee, and Joint Committee on Taxation. Sir, good to have you with us this morning, and I hope that you were maybe able to hear Senator Sanders' comments just there and some reporting from our colleague Manu Raju. But Senator Sanders, once again, stressing how important it is that there be, in his words, serious negotiation with the pharmaceutical industry to reduce the price of prescription drugs, and also really pushing for that dental, hearing, and vision coverage for Medicare. I know those are key for you. What is your sense of where things stand on those issues this morning?
Well, there's some real problems, and I do agree with Senator Sanders on most of what he said. The tentacles of the pharmaceutical industry are so far-reaching within this Congress that what was a weak bill when we started has gotten steadily weaker, so that you cannot turn to most Americans and tell them honestly that their drug problem, their prescription price gouging victimization will end. And that's the real problem for vision, dental, and hearing, which I have the bill in the House, is that if you don't get savings for consumers and savings for taxpayers in the many government programs that pay for prescription drugs, you don't have the resources to provide a very necessary service to seniors. Knowing that about 3/4 of the seniors who had a hearing loss problem did not get the care that they needed, that almost half of those who had a vision loss, who couldn't see well, that leads to falls, that leads to dementia, that they could not get the services they need. But as long as the prescription drug issue keeps getting eviscerated, which is what's happening, we don't have the resources to do what we need, especially on vision and hearing. Dental is a bit more difficult. But on vision, we could provide this service next year to seniors, a basic pair of glasses. We could provide hearing coverage the following year, and maybe dental sometime in the future. I think we need to do that in this bill, and I'm very concerned about where it is at this point.
So just to button this up then, can you do that, right, what you've just proposed, without those changes to drug pricing, which, you know, is something that Democrats have been pushing for decades at this point?
That's right. Not enough Democrats. We need more, and we need the people within our own caucus to provide full support for broad Medicare negotiation. And we have some problems with a handful of members, particularly in the Senate. But the answer is yes, we can take care of vision next year and hearing the following at least if we turn to revenue sources other than prescription drugs. If we can't get the prescription drug relief that Americans deserve, we ought to get the revenue from other places to finance vision and hearing. I don't think that...
What are those other places, though? What are those other revenue streams to finance it?
Well, as you mentioned, I serve on the Ways and Means Committee. We generated a bill that provides revenues to pay for so many services in this bill that are now being reduced or eliminated in the broader Build Back Better bill. So it's a matter of using revenue, general revenue from other sources to finance this coverage. We're talking about roughly $70 billion over a decade to provide basic vision and hearing coverage. I do think there's a problem with the voucher approach, and that's the one area that I have some disagreement with Senator Sanders on. We've opposed voucherizing Medicare for years, and I think our focus should be on what basic relief we can provide now on a permanent basis, and perhaps do dental at another time.
When it comes to other sources of funding, as we mentioned, you're on Ways and Means. Chairman Richard Neal saying that overnight he wasn't sure that this plan to tax billionaires, that it would actually bring in a reliable amount of money, and even warned it could be challenged legally. We know Senator Sinema is opposed to corporate tax hikes. So what would Plan B be this morning for that if that billionaire tax is not going to fly?
Yes, certainly the Plan A, which Chairman Neal and all of us on the committee work together to establish, is the best approach. Simply restoring the rates that existed for those at the top income level under the administration of President Obama would be a reasonable approach. Senator Sinema has come up very late with objections. She's yet to lay out a clear plan as to what this billionaire tax would be. I certainly think those at the top should be paying much more. But just doing a tax on a few hundred people is probably not enough to pay for the services we need, and is not really a very good substitute for what we propose, particularly dealing with the problem of corporations on the international level, where we know that a large number of corporations were paying less than 8% tax rate on their revenues. So I think we need to deal with corporations, and Senator Sinema has been a belated problem here.
We'll see what happens on that. I mean, just where's your gut this morning? Because, you know, as I just said to Manu, on the heels of these meetings with the president last week, it really did feel that Democrats were united, at least in their public messaging. The fact that this morning we are seeing with this yet another deadline, there have been many, as we know, but with what feels like a very real deadline looming, especially when we talk about infrastructure and what's expiring on Sunday, what happened to the kumbaya?
Well, there's still a united feeling that we need to pass these bills, and we need to pass them soon, provide the president support, particularly on the climate change measures as he goes to the international conference. But the Sunday deadline is not a hard and fast deadline that has to be met in terms of the transportation programs. It's not as if the lights will go out that day. And it's possible to pass some continuation to keep the funding in place as we conclude this. I hope we can get it done this week. It's more likely to occur next week. It does need to occur. I am one of those progressives who said we can't do the highway portion if we're not going to do the child care and the health portion. I continue to feel that way. These two bills will have to move together to provide relief that is Build Back Better, not Build Back Weak.
We will see what happens. Look, those deadlines do seem to keep moving, as you pointed out, Congressman Lloyd Doggett. Appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you.